Hello YouTube, Cryptid here. I'm going to be going over the brand new update that just dropped for Phasmophobia. It is called the Eventide update. It is a major update. Are you brave enough to become the new lighthouse keeper? Well, if Willem Dafoe's taught me anything, probably not. You'll go crazy, right? Welcome back. We've got an update for you. Due to the size of this update, we have given it the version number of v0.10, even though the roadmap originally planned different content for that version number. The following updates planned in the roadmap will instead have increased version numbers, but the content and order of updates remain the same. I'm sure I don't think we really care, right? I mean, we do care, but we don't care what you call it. Just give us the update, give us the content. But alrighty, let's get into Point Hope, which is the brand new map that they just released. Point Hope was recently refurbished by a young family seeking something unique to call a home. You'll be welcomed by a modern extension, complete with a hallway, closet, and a downstairs bathroom, before entering into the lighthouse's main living room. Decorated with nautical knickknacks, you'll be faced with spiral staircases and round rooms, a first for ghost hunters. Ooh, interesting. This new location features 10 floors. Wow. I wonder how the ghosts are going to interact with these 10 floors. 12 rooms and a unique layout which will challenge new players in new ways. You'll have to use different techniques for some of those pesky ghost abilities while playing on lower evidence game modes. Unlocks at level 15. If you're new, that shouldn't be too hard. But a lot of us are well past. I just prestige 4, and unfortunately, I don't have all the tier 3 equipment. It was bad timing on my part, but anyways, progression. Several progression and equipment items have been adjusted based on community feedback. Player leveling and rewards. The required EXP or experience to level from 1 to 100 has been reduced by around 10%, making leveling faster. So I don't know about you guys, but levels 80 through 100 were pretty, that is the slowest out there. So I don't know that 10% is going to make a huge difference regardless. Players can now level up to 9,999 for each prestige. Wow, okay. The required experience needed to level up between 999 and 9,999 will increase every level. Okay, makes sense. Sunny Meadows Restricted is now categorized as a medium location. I don't know why every time you get like a daily or a weekly or whatever, I think it's dailies, play on a medium map. Sunny Meadows Restricted is one of my favorite maps. Sunny Meadows in itself is one of my favorite maps. But I was like, why is Sunny Meadows not considered a medium map? But now it is. Now we don't have to worry. Increased rewards for correctly identifying the ghost in medium and larger locations. Medium is from 125 to 150. Large from 150 to 200. Okay. So this is actually pretty good. It's not a whole lot, but these numbers right here are going to be multiplied by whatever difficulty modifier you're setting or whatever you're playing on. Dots. Tier 1's light range has been increased. Okay, that'll be interesting to see. I wonder if it's the cone is bigger, like it goes from a 15-foot cone. I'm a D&D nerd. 15-foot cone to a 30-foot cone. We'll see. We'll see. Tier 3 scanning effects can now be paused by interacting with it while it is rotating. So that's incredible. But I wonder, because you interact with it, you turn it off and then on. So I wonder if you have to pause it and then hit it a second time to pause the rotation or something. I wonder how that'll work. But this is good. And it's the only thing, I don't know about you gamers, but I hope they reduce the noise a little bit in this thing. Because if you're ever trying to get an objective to listen through a paramic and you got these things roaming around, it's like Jabberwocky. It'll slowly drive you insane over time. EMF. Tier 1's needle will no longer flicker near or past the 5 value during events and hunts to stop confusion with the evidence. Tier 1, I will admit, Tier 1 is kind of tricky. Usually it has to stay above tier EMF level 5 for 2 to 5 seconds or something, but it can hit and fluctuate. If you ever look at a ghost event on the activity monitor and it's hit EMF 5, but it's part of a ghost event. I used to. I'm sure a lot of people may still do, especially if you're newer. A lot of people say, oh, that's EMF 5, even though it technically isn't. So regardless, Tier 3's EMF 5 reading now plays a unique sound. Interesting. Okay. Firelight. increase the visible light intensity and range for both tier 1 and tier 2. Okay, that's cool. By the way, the lighting update was beautiful, huh? Especially with the tier 3 firelight. It's beautiful. Tier 1 duration increased from 3 minutes to 5 minutes. That's a huge change. If you ever had an objective where you need to get a ghost to blow out a firelight and you're scrubbing around with tier 1 and the ghost is like, no, and then it just burns out. So this is pretty good. But you know, it used to be back in my day, it used to be, you know, you could go in the house, take their candles and they were infinite, but this is fine. This is a good change. And tier 2's duration increased from 5 minutes to 10 minutes. So I think you can have 4 candles. So that's 40 minutes of candlelight. That's not bad. And again, I'm assuming tier 3 is still infinite. So firelights and igniters will now be extinguished accurately in heavy rain. Okay. For example, they will no longer be extinguished under house porches and inside small tents. That is something I'm definitely going to test, because it was always weird to, you know, light underneath like a clear visible, you know, obstruction from the rain and it just goes out. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it works. Headgear. A customizable key binding has been added to the controls page for turning off and on headgear. This is really good because I think it's hold down T, which is also your flashlight. So you can get into a little bit of a jumbled mess with, you know, if you like, I don't know, you got slippy, greasy Cheeto fingers or something, you're trying to hit the T button, it slips off, you turn on your flashlight and you like turn off your head cam, turn on your flashlight, and boom, the ghost is like, what up? Turning headgear 1 on and off will now play different sounds to help know which state the equipment it is in. Okay, I thought it kind of had like a little red light. I mean, I play mostly solo, so I don't really do a whole lot with the tier 1 head cam, but I thought it had a little red light that you could tell it was on or off, but we'll see. We'll see. While within range of a ghost event or hunting ghost, tier 3 will now have visual interference. Okay, so your night vision goggles will probably have, I don't know, will be interesting to see what kind of visual interference it is. Also, if you're in the middle of a hunt and you got your tier 3 head cam on, good luck. All tiers will now play a new sound. Okay. Parabolic microphone, sorry. Tier 1's red light will now flicker when a sound is detected. That's pretty interesting. Tier 3 can now receive sounds 1 floor above or below the player using it, with new UI to show which floor the sound is coming from. That's incredible. And if I remember, just a little bit above, the lighthouse map has 10 floors. So this will be really wild to see how this comes into play, especially, you know, like high school, prison. Prison has a couple areas where you have a floor below you or something. That'll be pretty interesting. You now have to hold parabolic microphones to turn them on or off. Okay, that's not too bad. It'll take a little bit of adjustment, but that's okay. Thermometer. Holding down the use button while holding a thermometer, tier 2 or 3, will now continuously update instead of having to restart after each reading. So it's going to be kind of like the original tier. Well, you know, there before tier updates for equipment. It used to be you'd run in with a thermo and it just gave you a constant reading and stuff. So maybe this will actually make tier 2 and 3 useful, because I'm a huge fan of this one, which they seem to have nerfed. Tier 1 was incredible, especially if you start with a breaker on and the house's ambient temperature is already, you know, like established. So tier 1 now has randomization to make it consistent with other tiers. That'll be interesting to see. So I guess it's going to fluctuate, like it's going to, you know, so we'll see how that works. Let me know how it works for you in the comments if you want. Tier 3 hold time has been reduced to 2.5 seconds from 3 seconds. I guess that's something, but if you're combining this with the update up here, you're just constantly holding it or something, right? So I guess it takes 2.5 seconds to, once you press the button, it takes 2.5 seconds. So it's not instantaneous. That's still good. That's fun. Tier 3 randomization has been reduced to make it more accurate. Okay. Again, I never really used tier 2, tier 3, just because tier 1 I think was far superior, but that's my own little opinion. Tripods and video cameras. Ghosts will now throw video cameras more consistently. Okay, it's a rare occurrence. Usually if you don't have the camera on a tripod, like the tier 1 camera, I don't think tier 2, tier 3 really get thrown too much that I've noticed, but tripod 1 Tripod tier 1, knockdown chance increased from 20% to 30%. So increases. Okay, so now it has a greater chance to get thrown down. Tripod 2, knockdown chance increased from 10 to 20%. And I'm assuming they've left tier 3 alone. I don't know the numbers on that. I'll have to look later. Sanity medication. Tier 1 restoration time has been decreased from 20 seconds. Or wait. Tier 1 restoration has decreased from 20 seconds from 30. So instead of it taking 30 seconds, it's just going to take 20 seconds. I'll get out of here. Sorry. Stupid pop-ups. Tier 3 will now instantly refill your sprint endurance in addition to keeping it full for 10 seconds. Okay, so if you don't know this, like if you're running and you're like me, you just hold shift down, you're just constantly running and you jam that needle into you, and it's like if you it takes it. So basically what this does is it instantly refills it, so you don't have that cooldown, and then it keeps it full for 10 seconds. So that's also really good. Instantly refill your sprint endurance. So it still doesn't look like it changed the time it takes to replenish your sanity, but still, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Sound sensors. Mute buttons have been added to each sound sensor's truck user interface, UI. Okay. That'll be interesting to look at. Spirit box. But again, does anybody use a sound sensor? Now, I admit they're kind of cool because they added the ability to where you can hear the sounds in the truck. But again, until they add like objectives, I think this would be the biggest thing they could do. Add an objective that is, rotated in and out of like your objectives that you have to do on each mission, and say get a paranormal sound with a sound sensor or something along that lines. And maybe they will in the future when they're going to have sound recording stuff, but sound sensors I think are one of the most unused pieces of equipment. Spirit box. Small environmental lights such as lamps must now also be turned off to receive a response. Honestly, I didn't even know that was a thing because I usually just sit in the dark when I do the spirit box anyway. But here you go. So now you have to be in complete and utter darkness. I do see the occasional newer player trying to use the spirit box in the light with the lights on. You have to be in the dark. You must now hold the spirit box to use it with text-based voice recognition. Okay, I guess you could. So I do know this. I do know if you turn on like the tier 2, I guess the tier 1, the tier 2 and the tier 3 spirit box, you can actually have that turned on, and like I have open mic, or not open mic, but push to talk. And if it's on the ground, you can still use it. You can still ask questions while you're like fumbling through your equipment or something. So maybe that's what this is. If you have it on and you have it thrown to the ground, you can still use, you have it thrown on the ground, you can still use text-based voice recognition. Maybe that's what that is. UV lights. Tier 1 and Tier 2 have been swapped to better progression during leveling. Again, I think Tier 1, the glow stick should be Tier 3. It's perfect because you can put some salt down, crack that bad boy, throw it. That's it. Have your camera ready, waiting for those footsteps. If the ghost has UV as an evidence, touches the door, you don't have to hold the flashlight up and charge it and then switch over to your camera. In the offhand chance you end up missing it or something, the glow stick, you just throw it down and you have the camera ready. You don't have to do anything. It's fine. I don't, it's not a big deal. I will always use the glow stick, however. Optimization. We've drastically improved the performance of several areas of the game, which will result in fewer stutters. Now, I never really suffered from stutters, but here recently I've actually had a few. It's not really stutters, it's like the game freezes for like 2 to 5 seconds, especially on like some of the bigger maps and stuff. Higher FPS. So this will result in higher FPS. Well, that's great. Hopefully Sunny Meadows for me, because I play at like 144 hertz and stuff, or 144 frames a second, and Sunny Meadows is pretty demanding. So fewer stutters, higher FPS, and quicker loading times, especially on low-end machines. The number of fixes and optimizations would be too many to list, but the following have received the biggest adjustments. Photo and video cameras. Shadows, the weather and sky effects. The weather's also, by the way, the weather's really, I love it. The user interface, physics. Okay. Audio, reflections, Textures and shadows are now streamed to the GPU, your graphical processing unit, I think, whatever GPU means, to significantly reduce virtual random access memory and random access usage. Random access memory usage, RAM. Tense door cloth system is being completely overhauled to increase performance. Sure, I'll take you at your word for it. That's fine. Training. Lower the temperature of train. Who's done? I have not. I did training when they added the achievements, and that's it. But if you're brand new to this game, I don't know if you're watching patch notes, but anyways, if you want to go back and do the trainings, get the achievement, lower. This is what's going to have. This is going to have some changes. Lower the temp of training to make the freezing temperature sections much faster to progress. Reduce the amounts of equipment to 1 in each room. Okay, you now have to get EMF 5 to get past the EMF room. Okay, good luck. I'm just joking. Props will now get thrown more frequently in the EMF room. Replace the glow stick with the UV torch. Oh, that's horrible. As per the tier changes above. Again, that's fine. It's not bad. The training's fine. Don't worry about it. In the ghost orb section, players will now need to be more accurate with the video camera to avoid accidentally completing the objective without seeing the ghost orb. Yeah, I guess that would be important. Sometimes those ghost orbs can be extremely sneaky, though. Sometimes you'll be looking in the room with the camera, and then you go out to the truck, and you happen to look, and oh, what? There's a ghost orb there. Brand new ID card badges can now be unlocked. Ooh. Lighthouse Keeper. Correctly identify the ghost on point hope 50 times and a reward multiplier above 0 times. Well, I guess I know what I'm doing today. Apocalypse Bronze. Correctly identify the ghost, take a ghost photo, and complete all objectives on Sunny Meadows with a difficulty modifier of 6 or higher. Okay. I mean, honestly, I'm not, bronze difficulty 6 times is easy today. It is extremely easy. It's easier today. Now, if you're a brand new player, it's probably pretty difficult, but you have sprint, you have all sorts of stuff that you can get away with 6 times. It's not how it used to be. Apocalypse Silver. Correctly identify the ghost, take a ghost photo, and complete all objectives on Sunny Meadows with a multiplier of 10 or higher. Silver, I think if you're doing silver, it's a little more difficult. Not impossible. Apocalypse Gold. Correctly identify the ghost, take a ghost photo, and complete all objectives on Sunny Meadows with a difficulty multiplier of 15. Now, I will say this is putting your test. That was the last achievement I needed, was the gold trophy. Took me a while. It was a Banshee, though, so it was pretty nice. It was easy. Because usually the hardest part is getting the ghost photo, but also trying to identify the ghost when those things are moving at 150% speed. Some of them are crazy. But I had a Banshee. It was the first Whisper, so the Banshee scream, sorry. Now, here's what I want to know. Note, if you have already completed any of the Apocalypse challenges, which I have, which some of you may have as well, you will need to complete a single game of any kind to receive your new ID card rewards. Now, I'm going to be doing this later, but I might try the bronze. 6 times on Sunny Meadows is cake, right? So I might be trying the bronze difficulty and see if that unlocks. Because the way I'm reading this, if I do it, complete a single game of any kind to receive your new ID card reward. So I'm assuming, the way this reads to me anyways, I may be wrong, is if I do bronze, and I've already got the bronze, silver, gold trophy, it should unlock those new badges. But either way, it's always fun to dip your toes back in 15 times, the hardest difficulty I have right now. So players can now carry an igniter in addition to 3 other items. Why is this so oh my God, this is actually really huge. So this means you can carry your smudge stick and a lighter and 2 other pieces of equipment, which is actually pretty huge. Especially, I get that they're doing this because if you've ever done the Apocalypse challenge, any of these really, and you want to carry around a lighter and a smudge stick and a single piece of evidence, evidence gathering equipment, which on Apocalypse 15 times, all you're really doing is looking for ghost orbs or something for a mimic. But this is actually really huge. So now you can carry a smudge stick, a lighter, and 2 other pieces of equipment. So this is actually huge. I can't believe they just did this. That's crazy. I mean, an igniter's not always applicable, but the fact that you have another inventory slot is pretty huge. So now you can carry an igniter and 3 smudge sticks if you're really, really scared. Note, non-virtual reality players can only carry 1 igniter at a time, similar to flashlights. Igniters now have their own slot in the VR belt. When placing a tier 1 igniter in this slot, you won't be able to remove it again until all matches have been drawn. Okay. Unlocking a new reward that is not tied to leveling up will now show a pop-up on the mission summary screen. That's fine. So if you're like, there's been times I've been just like power leveling, and then I go and like, oh man, I've had the tier 2 crucifix or unlocked for several levels now. So maybe this is what they're talking about, which is pretty cool. Ghostwriting books now play new sounds when closed. Okay, can't wait to hear that. Added Kate and Catherine to possible ghost first names. Okay, there's a lot of names now. I don't know when the last time anybody's seen Michael Jackson. I think I had one Michael Jackson like when I first started playing. It was a huge deal. I was like, this is so funny. But now with all the names, it's harder to get. So ghosts can now leave single fingerprints on all small lamps and TV remotes in all locations. So I'm assuming it's kind of rare. Maybe hopefully they increase the number, but it's kind of, at least in my own personal experience, it's kind of a small chance or a rare chance that they actually interact with lamps. But this is actually pretty cool. And the TV remote, that's cool. I think this is cool. I'll be interested to see how this plays out. So anyway, we'll move on to changes. Equipment. You can no longer swap inventory slots while taking a photo. Okay. Removed flashlights from hide and seek extreme as they were disabled from settings. Again, I thought that was just them trolling us, but that's fine. The Deja Vu weekly now has ultraviolet tier 1 instead of tier 2 to keep it a flashlight. That's fine. Glow in the dark weekly now has tier 2 instead of tier 1 to keep it a glow stick. Okay. Asking the Ouija board bone location questions will now drain 20% sanity, down from 50. That's actually pretty huge, due to bone rewards not being included in the reward multiplier. That makes sense. Like, it shouldn't. The only thing this will do is it gives you a better chance of getting a perfect investigation bonus. So you have to do all 3 objectives, get all 3-star ghost photos, and find the bone. Even though the bone is not multiplied in the reward multiplier, the perfect investigation bonus is. So there's probably a good chance you can start making some more money. Because if you're playing on like a big map, like the full Sunny Meadows, good luck finding that bone. Lighting the summoning circle candle will now instantly end the setup phase. Okay, if you're playing on professional or lower, I think you have a setup phase. And some of the weeklies, I think some of the weekly challenges have a setup phase, but that's usually one of the first things to go. If you want to increase your multiplier a little bit, get rid of that setup phase. Just get rid of it. The worst thing that's going to happen is you either have a mimic demon or just a regular demon that hunts you at 100% sanity, but you might be able to get that Doomslate achievement. Ghosts. Non-writing ghosts now close the book after throwing it. Okay. Ghosts can no longer interact with already knocked down paintings. All right, nice. Ooh, shades can no longer blow out fire sources or write in ghost writing books if there are any players in the room to keep their strengths consistent. This is actually really huge. So shades don't really do a whole lot. They don't, so this is actually really cool. So if you're in a room and you're whittling down the evidence and it's like, oh man, this is probably it's either a shade or something else. Like if you got UV5 or EMF5 Oni or something or shade, and it blows out a candle while you're in the room with it, there you go. Can't be a shade. That's interesting. Improve the ghost ability to interact with closed doors. Okay. Improved Banshee's AI targeting when they stalk a player. All right. I wish to see the ghost will now limit your vision after the ghost event instead of before, allowing you to see the ghost. I mean, that's that's good. That's great. That's should be. That way you can snap that ghost photo, hide in the closet, and just get out of there. Increase the sanity drain of one of the ghost events to match other events. Keeping this a little under wraps. One of the ghosts. We'll see what that is. Environment. Paranormal Paparazzi and Hide and Seek Hide weekly challenges now take place in Point Hope. Ooh, so they're. I was kind of wondering if they were going to add a new weekly to the rotation and include Point Hope in that. But now they're just changing Hide and Seek Hide is going to be on Point Hope. Well, let's get in there later on and figure out what we're going to do with that. Drastically improve the sunrise visuals. Turning on several light switches in a room, but not all, will now drain sanity at a reduced rate instead of the full sanity drain speed. Okay, so I think some of the rooms that, like the master bedroom on, like, I think it's Tanglewood or Thompson, they count, and also Grafton Farmhouse, the master bedroom, the little utility closet in the bathroom, those all count as the same ghost room. So maybe this is what it is. So you have to have all 3 lights on now, otherwise it will reduce sanity or something. So props that don't move when hit with another prop will no longer play an additional impact sound. Okay. Adjusted all weather's distinct fog color for better blending with the horizon. All right. Removed point hope teasers from all maps and lobby. All map. Okay, so I'm assuming this means if you have a UV light in the lobby out by your trophy cases, there's some ultraviolet symbols. You go to all the maps and there's these riddles, and it allows you. This was kind of old, so if you haven't experienced it, it's kind of cool. You have to go to every map, solve riddles to find out, and then it's like a word jumble. But I am assuming they removed this from there, so that's fine. Optimize assets across all maps. Lowered resolution for light cookies. I have no idea what light cookies are. Flashlight, light shapes, etc. So they lowered the resolution for the light shapes of flashlights, but increased resolution for skylight shadow. We'll see how this. I don't really know what this means, but we'll see how it feels in game. Move the green bowl in edge-filled living room to help with the lamp interactions and new fingerprints. Okay, that makes sense. The Tanglewood utility room door can now be closed correctly by the ghost. Medium tint windows now have correct collision on both sides. It feels like I've hidden by one of like Maple Lodge or Camp Woodwind or whatever, and gotten murked through one of the windows. Maybe that's what actually happened. Audio. Adjusted audio effects to help identify if sounds are above or below you. That's actually really huge, because I've been like, oh, where was it? Was that upstairs? You run upstairs and it's like, it sounded like it was upstairs, but it was not. It was actually on the same floor. Sounds that are 1 floor above are bass, boosted, and muffled. Time to get out the subwoofers and hook them up to your sound system. Sounds that are 1 floor below will be more muffled and quiet. So 1 floor above, you're going to hear more bass. They're still muffled, but they're more bass boosted. 1 floor above. So I'm assuming like you're hearing like maybe footsteps or something. And 1 floor below is going to be muffled and quiet. That's going to take, like, you have to get in and train your ears to hear these things, right? Sounds that are 2 floors above you or below you will have more extreme effects and volume reduction. What's this more extreme effects? That's weird. The heartbeat sound will no longer be altered by reverb and other audio effects. Okay. Audio levels for the ambient room tone of the Ouija board have been remastered to bring them in line with other sounds. Okay. Reduce the volume of the writing sound for Ghost Writing Book 3, Tier 3. Okay. User interface. Difficulty, money, and prestige level pop-ups have received new images. Ooh, I'm excited to see what that is. Improved color accuracy in several UI components. Increased the width of the scroll bars in the shop and made it easier for VR players. Hey, congrats, VR players. Several ID card titles have been renamed and shortened. All right. Change interaction amount to activity level in custom settings to better reflect what it does. Okay. That's fine. I mean, again, this is like new players are going to be coming in down the road, so this might help new people and maybe even the people who've been around for a while to understand, but that's fine. Fixes. Player movement will no longer be affected by held equipment. Oh my goodness. You mean I can crouch with my tier 3 smudge and not be jammed into a wall? And most of the the tripods, I think the tier 1 is okay for the parabolic mic, but tier 2 and 3, I think, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's hit or miss, but this is actually good. I can't wait to test this out. Stamina recovery will now correctly start even if you're holding. I'm trying to click and highlight this. I'm sorry. Stamina recovery will now correctly start even if you're still holding down the sprint button but not moving. Again, just jam a fork or something in your shift button and never let go. There is no longer a visual glitch when rapidly equipping and unequipping the headgear as one of the player models. Okay. I don't know. Again, I play solo, so I don't really have that like third, like being able to see other people. I do on occasion, but like I didn't know for the longest time. I didn't know that when you use the paramic, you actually have headphones on. But because I played multiplayer and I saw other people using, I'm like, that's wild. That's wild to me. So, anyways, you can now change your sprint mode while in game in VR. Okay. Fix several areas where VR teleport movement could not teleport to. I hope you VR players know what this means because I don't have a real big concept of that. I'm assuming it's movement or something, but changing your sprint mode to hold from toggle on PC while sprinting is toggled on will no longer keep you sprinting without pressing the sprint button. Remove sprinting FOV increase due to a graphical issue. All right. Ghosts. Hanging paintings thrown by the ghost will no longer fall through the floor. That was never trust a painting. Well, maybe now you can, but never try to take a photo of a fallen painting that's glitched behind a bench into the floor. Just leave it alone. Leave it alone and move on. But maybe now you can luck out. We'll see. The ghost and bone can no longer get stuck in several locations. So again, I think it's Thompson House, one of the rooms back there. If you get, I think it's Thompson or Tanglewood. It's hard to remember in the moment. But there's the room with the computer in the very back. You know, the two rooms, and I've been hunted, and it's just like a cursed hunt even. And the ghost never left the room. And I don't want to go back there in case it's like a revenant or something. But so it cannot get stuck in several locations. I'm assuming this is what this means by the ghost. Obviously, the bones don't move, right? Could you imagine if the bones moved when you weren't looking? Anyways, Ure can now use their ability on doors that are open at the start of the game. All right. Demon and Banshee attempting to use their ability but failing will no longer add to the abilities used stat. I mean, that's good for people who like to pay attention to their stats and stuff like that. I guess if you want to try to like fine tune your learning of the behaviors of a ghost, if you're trying to go for zero evidence and trying to learn secondary behaviors and stuff, which I did a little tier list video based on some of my like fledgling knowledge of ghost secondary abilities, not hard evidence, but you know, like a revenant moving really slow when it can't see you, and then being really fast when it can, stuff like that. So, but this is only in regards to Demon and Banshee. So a Banshee is trying to, I think, roam to you, and a Demon is just like, I want to hunt and kill you. So Ghost will no longer keep throwing the same object over and over and over again, and will instead choose more varied items within its interaction range. Okay, that's cool. Hide and Seek Extreme now correctly has 3 evidences instead of 2. I mean, good luck even getting Hide and Seek Extreme. Good luck. I mean, I was fine getting a single piece of evidence. So 2, but it's actually supposed to be 3. That's fine. Ghost event players detection will no longer include dead players if they didn't move after dying. Again, mostly play solo, but if you and your friends play this, apparently this was the thing, like your friend got killed, they're like, I'm getting a drink, and they leave. Maybe this is what it did. And like they didn't move their ghost model after they passed. Equipment. Motion sensor 2 and 3 detect sounds can now be heard consistently. Motion sensor 2 and 3's detection sounds can now be heard consistently. Parabolic mic 2 now displays the correct volume values. You can no longer get readings on the parabolic microphone within the truck. Dots 1, dots tier 1, and UV lights tier 2. Geez, that's a mouthful. Lights will no longer stop emitting when placed in some areas. That's cool. Changing the sound sensor size in the truck now only changes the area of effect UI instead of the equipment UI. The parabolic microphone will no longer pick up sounds within the truck. Oh, okay. So this is, you actually get readings with the parabolic mic in the truck, but this was actually you pick up sound. So these are two. Like I thought it was the same thing, but it's different. EMF reader 1 will now point the needle closer to the EMF value instead of including the EMF values above and below it. Okay, that'll probably be a pretty decent change, because again, I think they need to do a little more. This is actually a little bit of showing a little bit of love, because if you're starting out and you're trying to figure out the EMF reader and it's just jumping out, the needle's jumping all over the place, this makes it more intro user friendly, I think, which they so especially if they're going to be doing a console update someday, they're going to have a whole influx of new players. This is probably good. You can no longer take multiple photos of the same EMF interaction by using your inventory to refresh the EMF spot. I think that's where you pick up like a cup that's been thrown and pick it up, drop it, take a picture, pick it up. But I never really did anything like that. That's usually why I fail and get like a 0-star photo. Headgear 2 will no longer be detected by the ghost when on if flashlights are disabled in custom settings. Okay, makes sense. An active parabolic microphone will no longer muffle your audio when picked up when holding another item. That's pretty cool. Not a huge thing. I mean, it's a huge thing that they changed it, obviously, but it wasn't too bad of a thing. You just had to like toggle to it, turn it off, and switch back to what you want. That's fine. All sound sensors, tiers, and firelight tier 2. So all of the sound sensor tiers and firelight tier 2 are now more stable when placed in virtual reality. Okay. You can no longer light other people's incense by physically moving a fire source into it. Okay. VR players can now consistently place a video camera on a tripod that is still attached to the truck wall. The Ouija board will no longer break when saying goodbye at 0 sanity, because I think that's technically, if you're at 0 sanity, you say goodbye, that's interacting with the Ouija board. Technically, maybe, I don't know. I usually just use the Ouija board to do hide and seek, and it breaks anyway. So Crucifix 3 will now be fully used for all players after it prevents a cursed hunt. Okay. Extinguished matches will no longer light other objects. That's probably good, right? You don't want you no longer need to swap hands between each tarot card in VR. Wow, that's probably a huge change, huh? Having to like juggle your tarot cards only to get a hanged man. Grabbing, swapping props or equipment in VR will no longer set the wrong hand position and rotation. Okay. I have never played this in VR, so I don't know. I hope these changes for the people that play this in VR, which I can only imagine is terrifying. I hope these changes make your day a little better. So igniters can no longer be used if another player fully used up the fuel. Tripod 3's placement highlight is now visible when first placed, huh? So does that mean like if you pick it up and try to move it, you'll never see it again? Or maybe I'm just reading this weird. UI for text voice recognition will no longer get stuck if another player grabs the Ouija board while you're using it. Keep your hands off my Ouija board. All motion and sound sensor map icons are now accurately sized on all maps. Oh my God. Okay, we're almost done. Environment. The player in Ghost will now correctly be detected when moving between different rooms and floors. This will make evidence gathering much more consistent. Sunny Meadows, reverb sound effects will no longer turn off while moving around in certain rooms. I wonder if the padded room, the dead silent room, I doubt. They're probably talking about something else, though. Maple Lodge cabin window fingerprints will now be visible again. Nice. Remove several locations where the ghost could get out of bounds in Sunny Meadows. Escape? You got an escaped mental patient running around? An undead escaped mental patient running around in Sunny Meadows? This is a huge fix. Goodness, think of the people that live in the town by Sunny Meadows. But, on a more serious note, remove several locations where the ghost could get out of bounds in Sunny Meadows. Okay, that's wild. Remove the spot where the ghost gets stuck behind the generator in Camp Woodwind. Yeah, that's funny. You just sitting there just snapping photos, laughing at it, and it's got the sad, just a sad song going on with it. The camping chair next to the lover's bench on Woodwind is no longer white. Yes, that's okay. Yep, okay. It's like all this other stuff, and this is like, hey, we changed the color of it. All overhead tarps on Maple Campsite now have rain sounds. I mean, talk about that is like relaxing. I could lay underneath that and just go to sleep, but there's probably YouTube videos for that or something, right? Instead of having to play the game. But I think it's a really nice sound, man. There's nothing more relaxing than rain hitting like a tent or a tarp or something. It's relaxing. Reduced visibility of geometry scenes where you can see the skybox in Sunny Meadows. I'm not going to pretend to understand that. Keys collected will now have the correct name in the journal. Okay. Window rain will no longer make things black when viewed from certain angles. I think I know I've experienced that. I'm not for sure, though. All brownstone high school windows and doors now have the correct fingerprint material. You can no longer place equipment in the gaps under the cabin. Stop it. Stop placing equipment under the gaps in the cabin. You leave that person alone. There's a person under there. I think they're still under there. I think there's a person still under the cabin. Just give them their privacy, okay? Quit sticking stuff. Now you can't do it anyway, so lights will no longer turn on if you turn them off during a flicker. I've got a little short thing where I think I turned the generator off during a red light ghost event, and I was able to turn it back on and flip the switch, and it stayed red. It was really weird. So maybe that's what this is. Added skybox blockers to multiple areas to stop tiny gaps in the geometry that show the sky on Tanglewood, Edgefield, Ridgeview, and Willow. Again, gamers, I don't know what this is. Skybox blockers to multiple... Okay, yep, okay. I'm hoping that's a good change. That's fine. Sound, we're almost done. Impact sounds will no longer play multiple times at once. Okay. UI. Skipping the animation when you level up more than once will no longer skip the previous level's unlocked pop-ups. So... this is kind of only, I guess, but the higher level you get, the odds of you like multiple, like, so early on when you're able to get, like, let's say you're doing a weekly, you completed your 3 weekly, challenges, $5,000, perfect investigation, you've done a couple other like dailies things, and you just get like, or 7,000, like you're starting off tier 1, 0 evidence, 0 sanity on like, and so you get like $7,000. Maybe that's what this is, but the odds of leveling up twice at the higher you get is kind of small. So this is kind of only maybe relevant for the beginning, but again, this might be helpful for newer players. Challenge map names will now be correct. You can no longer complete the ghost photo objective when there is no space for photos in the journal. Didn't even know you could do that. I usually just rage quit if I mess up a ghost photo. I don't really rage quit. Or maybe I do. I don't know. Known issues. Deogen pathing can be inconsistent during hunts on Point Hope. Uh-oh. That's... hopefully it's when they're close by and you can kind of like react to that. I don't know. We'll see how that'll be interesting to see, just like a confused Dio running around. Small items can occasionally fall through walls at the floors in Point Hope. Well, that'll be interesting. They'll obviously fix this, right? Interactions can sometimes repeat multiple times. MSAA will now cause visual artifacts while dead. Just don't die. You won't have to worry about that. So this is the patch notes. I'm getting ready to log in and play and experience Point Hope. I've like total media blackout. I've ignored everything. I'm going to enjoy this. I hope you guys enjoyed this too. New content. So I hope you enjoyed this little bit of reading of my patch note, or the patch notes for the game. Let me know if you have any ideas about some of the things I might have been confused about in the comments below. And I will see you when I see you.